Samurai Champloo is often remembered for his style, the hip hop soundtracks, the breakdancing, sword fights. But there's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's Samurai Champloo's side characters.
Now you may want to write this down because you ain't gonna want to forget it.
Not because they're flashy, not because they overpower the main cast, but because they feel human in the way that most anime side characters don't. This show understands something very important. Life isn't just about the main trio, it's about the people you meet briefly. The ones who walk alongside you for a moment, leave an impact, and then disappear forever. Samurai Champloo treats his side characters not as a filler, but has full lives interacting with Jan, Mugen, and Fu for a short time. And that's why they leave a huge impact on you even after the show ends or episode ends. Samurai Champloo tells you exactly what kind of story is going to be within the first few minutes. And it does that through characters most people barely talk about. Let's take Jan, former master, for example. When Jan past finally catches up to him, it's not presented as a grand heroic flashback. It's quiet, somber. His master isn't some legendary anime sensei who exists only to train the main protagonist. He's a flawed man who teach and come with consequences. The weight of Jin killing him isn't glorified, it's something Jin carries like a scar. This immediately tells us that in Samurai Champloo, even teachers are human, and sometimes the people who shape us are also the ones who break us. Then there's Shino, one of the most emotional, devastating side characters in the whole entire series. Shino is a woman trapped in a loveless marriage, reminiscing over a man that she loved in her youth. Her story wasn't about sword fights or honor. It was really about regrets, about choosing security over passion and then realizing it's too late for what the choice cost you. Shino feels painfully real because her struggle isn't just exaggerated. She's not loud, she's not dramatic, she's really quiet and full of things left unsaid. A lot of people watching Samurai Champloo see themselves in her. That feeling of wondering, what if I had chosen something different? Even characters like Karia, he could have been easily written as a generic assassin. He's a hollow man who lives only for combat because without it, there's nothing left. He represents a darker future for characters like Mugen. Karia doesn't exist just to be defeated. He exists to reflect something uncomfortable about the world of swords and warriors. Mugen himself constantly runs into side characters who mirror parts of who he is or who he becomes. Street fighters, outlaws, drifters, people who survive by instinct rather than discipline. But unlike Mugen, many of them are already broken. They lost whatever spark kept them going. Seeing Mugen interact with them isn't just entertaining, it's revealing. It shows us that Mugen chaos isn't freedom by default. It's a fragile balancing act that could easily collapse. Then there's Jin's side of the spectrum. Jin meets runner who followed the code too strictly. Men who sacrificed everything for honor and ended up alone, forgotten or dead through these encounters. Jin's quiet reactions to these characters tell us everything. He doesn't judge them, but you can see the doubt forming in him. One of the most relatable types of side characters in Samurai Champloo are the ones just trying to survive. Merchants, peasants, entertainers, thieves. They aren't chasing glory. They aren't chasing destiny. They just want enough money, enough peace, or enough freedom to make it to the next day. These characters ground the show. They remind us that while Jin and Mugen are exceptional, most people in this world are not, but that's okay. A perfect example is the blind woman who teaches Mugen restraint through music and presence rather than force. She doesn't change him with words. She doesn't lecture him. She simply exists as someone who sees the world differently, forcing Mugen to slow down. Their connection feels fleeting, also dreamlike, and when it ends, it hurts in a quiet way, just like a real connection that comes and goes. Even the comic relief
Oh, I
characters are
see.
handled with care.
I'm sorry.
They
It's
aren't
just that
jokes for the
nobody
sake
talks
of
like that
jokes.
anymore.
They aren't masking insecurity, desperation, or fear. The con artists and trickster Mugen and Jin encounter aren't evil. They're just people trying to outsmart a system stacked against them. And sometimes they fail, sometimes they die, and the show doesn't laugh it off. It lets the moment sit. Another reason these side characters work so well is because Samurai Champloo doesn't over-explain them. You don't get long monologues and their tragic backstories. You pick things up through body language, dialogue, and the way they interact with the world. This makes them feel more authentic. Real people don't summarize their trauma in neat speeches. They reveal it slowly, often unintentionally. It comes from how incomplete their stories are. Not everyone gets closure. Not everyone learns a lesson. Some characters remain stuck, broken, or unchanged. That's life. Samurai Champloo isn't afraid of that. It doesn't pretend that every encounter is meaningful in a clean, uplifting way. Sometimes meaning comes from realizing how little control you actually have. And perhaps the most important thing is that the side characters are allowed to affect the main cast permanently. Jen, Mugen, and Fu don't reset after every episode. Each encounter leaves a mark, especially Fu. She goes through her interaction with other women. Women who choose love, women who choose independency, women who choose survival. Each one subtly shapes how Fu understands herself and what she wants from life. By the end of the series, when the trio finally part ways, it feels bliss. Every regret they observe, every life they brush against, Samurai Champloo understand that journeys aren't defined by only destination, but by the people you meet along the way. That's why I feel like you can't forget the side characters. They are larger than life itself. They represent roles not taken, mistakes we fear making, and also futures we hope to avoid. They feel relatable because they are written with empathy. In a genre that often treats side characters as stepping stones, Samurai Champloo treats them as lives, and that's why years later people still talk about them. Not because they were powerful, but because they felt real. And honestly, that would make Samurai Champloo timeless, and also it make it my favorite anime of all time.